Hello, friends. You know how they say you should never judge a book by its cover? Well, I'm a rebel. I don't follow the rules, so that's exactly what I'm going to be doing today. The reason I'm doing this is because I reached out on my Instagram recently to see what kind of videos people would like to see from me, and someone requested that I do more tier ranking videos, and I was like, you know what, that's an easy video I can do. I haven't done a tier list in a while. I always enjoy them. I enjoy spilling the tea on my controversial, sometimes, Nancy Drew opinions. And just a quick plug for my Instagram if you don't follow me already, I post a lot of Nancy Drew themed photos on there, so check it out if you're interested in that sort of thing. And before we start, I just want to make this abundantly clear, tier lists are subjective. This is my personal opinion. I'm not saying these are the definitive, right, correct answers and everything else is wrong. This is my personal opinion. I appreciate that we all have our own opinions. I would love to hear your personal opinions on these covers, especially if they differ from me. I love hearing adverse opinions. I love hearing other people's take. Without further ado, let me introduce you to my tiers. At the very bottom, we have graphic design is my passion. Now, I honestly think that a lot of work goes into the Nancy Drew game covers. They're so detailed, they're so vivid. I don't want to go so far as to say some of them are bad, because I don't actually think that. I think that some of these designs, a lot of passion went into them. A lot of graphic design passion. And perhaps it's not my sense of style, but I can appreciate that, a lot of work went into it. Basically, this tier is like the Comic Sans of tiers, and I'll leave it at that. Next, we have Whoosh, and I should mention now that I'm not just judging these based on whether I'm like, ooh, that's such a pretty picture. I'm also judging them based on how well I think they represent the game, because I think that's a really important part. Like, one of the reasons that I find a game that I want to play is partly based on the cover. Like, if it's a really cool, compelling cover, that will make me want to play the game. But if the cover isn't an accurate representation of what I actually end up playing, that's really disappointing. So this tier is kind of just for those covers that completely miss the mark. I'm thinking, what are you doing, honey? Why is this on the cover? You know what I mean? This, again, doesn't mean they're bad. It's just, I don't understand. I don't understand. I'm confused. Then we had meh, and I know, for me, this is a very uncreative tier, and let me tell you, I put all my creative energy and effort into my top tier, so that's fine. We'll just overlook the fact that I'm not living up to my own standards. But I think this one is pretty self-explanatory, and I already used Ned in one of my other tier videos, and I don't want to reuse my past ideas. I want to innovate. And I guess innovating is just myself being meh. This is getting really, really meta. Anyway, these are for the, the covers that I'm kind of like, they're not really exciting. They're not, awful. I understand them, but maybe they're not my favorite. I honestly don't really anticipate any going in here, but I felt like I needed to have a tier like this, just in case. I feel like my thoughts for these covers warrant a lot less tiers than some of my other tier ranking videos, if you know what I mean. And then my second to top tier is practically perfect in every way, because this outfit, I don't know, I just was feeling a little Mary Poppins today. Also a little Marie Antoinette, also a little Lovecore vampire. I'm feeling the vibes. But anyway, these are for covers that I just think are just really great covers. They're not like quite ultimate top tier, if you know what I mean. But I still think they're absolutely fantastic covers, and I have a lot of fondness for them. And then at the very top, we have Preserve It for the Aliens. At first I was going to be like, oh, put them in an art gallery. That was going to be my top tier. But then I thought about it and I was like, you know what? No. that's not strong enough to represent my feelings. We have to preserve these for all time. What if the art gallery burns down? These are the type of things, the type of covers that I want to send out to space. You know how they send out those shuttles and be like, oh, here's humanity's best music piece. I want to send one out that is all these Nancy Drew covers. That's how amazing I think they are. I want the aliens to see them and appreciate them and look at them and think, wow, this is what humankind can achieve. Anyway, I have rambled on enough of my tears. You're probably like, come on, get on with it. Where's the actual tier ranking in this tier list video? So let me have a sip of tea and then we will commence to start. Okay, first up we have Secret of the Scarlet Hand. Now this one I feel it's a little on the nose. You know, you hear the title, Secret of the Scarlet Hand, and they're like, oh, I know what we can put on the cover. A scarlet hand, yeah. But I mean, that is a big part of the story, so I can see why they did it. It does take up a lot of your attention, though, because it's all just focused on this bright spot of crimson that's right in the center. I think, like, rarely do I closely examine the Secret of the Scarlet Hand cover, because why would I need to? When I was doing this, I was like, I don't think I remember what's actually in the background. All I remember is the hand. And in the background, there's the monolith, which again is also a big part of the game. And there's this little silhouette in the background that looks like it could possibly be Bigfoot, which is quite exciting. I do like a menacing figure in the background, but I'm also like, I don't really notice the menacing figure, which I don't think is a good thing. I want to notice the menacing figure. I know the game's about a Scarlet Hand. I don't know anything else, and if I'm just looking at the Scarlet Hand, I'm not getting anything else. But I think it is very on brand, on brief. Like, you know what I mean? It's the Scarlet Hand, and the game is the Scarlet Hand. I think I'm gonna put it in meh. I know, like, I literally was like, oh, I don't anticipate myself putting any of these in meh, and then the very first one I put in there, but that's just the way it goes, I guess. Maybe I should have put another tier in here somewhere that encompasses all my feelings on that, but what's done is done, and what's done is it is in meh now. Sorry about it. The next one we have is the original Secrets Can Kill. This is the only Nancy Drew I still haven't played. I'm waiting for the day. I'm anticipating when I finally get to play the original Secrets Can Kill, but it still hasn't happened. And this one is pretty basic. It's got a strong teal cover. It's got the books in the library. It's got a little creepy eyes looking through, and the person looking through has blue skin like they could be a ghost, which is really exciting, I think. But honestly, there's not a lot going on. You've got the teal, you've got the books, you've got the ghost. A lot of these covers have a lot more happening on them that are a lot more interesting to the eye, a lot more intriguing about what's gonna happen. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be in a haunted library? I mean, that sounds pretty sick, but it's still like, it could be a lot more. It could have done a lot more. So I think this might be, in graphic design is my passion, because I think it does fulfill the brief. Like, I can see why they chose to have this on the cover, because I assume you still investigate the library in the original Secrets Can Kill. But it also, I don't know, it doesn't represent the school aspect, which is like a big aspect of it, and it doesn't represent the murder aspect, which is a big aspect of it. Where's the corpse? I want to see the bloody, battered corpse of Jake Rogers on the front of my video game for 10-year-olds. Why is it not there? Anyway, I rest my case. Now we have Secrets Can Kill Remastered, which I already kind of knew before I started. Like, that was the one, when I was thinking about doing this list, I was like, oh, I wonder what places I will put each cover. And I immediately thought, I fucking hate the cover of Secrets Can Kill Remastered. I hate it. I hate it. It's just like, why is Connie the focus? It makes you think that could be Nancy. Like, if you'd never played a Nancy Drew game before and you saw that, you'd go, oh, that's Nancy Drew. I can see her name in big, bold letters, and there she is, her face. Big and in front of the camera, but it's not. And then you've got in the background, you've got, very obviously, Hal, and you've got Hulk. And is Nancy the other one? Because it's like a gal with her, like, little hip jutting out, got a little sassy pose. Is that Nancy? Like, who is that? That's not a character in the game unless it is Nancy. And, like, where's the corpse? Where's the corpse? Should I put it in whoosh? Because it is so misleading. Just so misleading. I mean, to be fair, like, if I was designing a cover for Secrets Can Kill, what would I even do? Like, whoop-de-doo, it's a high school, thrilling. An exploding boiler. That's what I'd put on the cover. And a hamburger. Those are the two most important things you need to know about the game going into it. Next up, we have A Creature of Kapu Cave. Now, this one is an interesting one, because we know Creature of Kapu Cave on the whole is a misleading game. It's not about the Creature of Kapu Cave. We never see the Creature of Kapu Cave. We never really hear the Creature of Kapu Cave. We're like, oh, we heard some whispering. That could have been Kane Okala, the Creature of Kapu Cave. But it's bugs rubbing their legs together. Not very exciting. And this cover makes it look very exciting, but I don't think we ever go to a location like this in the game. Like, I guess we do go to Kapu Cave, but I don't remember it looking like that. Then again, I have a notoriously bad memory, so that might be on me. Sorry. But we definitely don't go to a big exploding volcano like that at the top right. And also, put the exploding volcano on the front and center if you're gonna go with an exploding volcano. That's exciting. You know why they didn't put that front and center? Because they were like, oh, this is a little cheeky because you don't technically go to exploding volcano. I guess I'll just put it in small at the top right. Because we don't want to put it on the front and really give false advertising. This cover is still false advertising, I say. And you do get the Hardy Boys, but they're, like, little small. Like, that's a highlight of the game. The Hardy Boys. They're on a nice moonlit beach, which, again, doesn't look like anything in the game. I would like to go to that moonlit beach. Kind of wish I was on that moonlit beach right now, actually. This one is misleading, but it's like, is that a misrepresentation of the game if the whole game is misleading? If the title of the game is misleading? I feel like it fits the brief. I don't think I can put it in whoosh. I think, I'm deciding whether to put it in meh or graphic design is my passion. It doesn't fit the vibes of the game for me. I feel like Kapu Cave is a very chill game on a whole. Like, you know, the music is like, wow, you're in Hawaii. Time to, you know, sip on a pina colada. Time to, you know, hunt some shells on the beach. Have a nice, chill time. It's like one of the ultimate relaxing Nancy Drew games, I think. And I don't think this cover represents that. But I also don't think it quite goes in whoosh. So I'm going to put it in graphic design as my passion, because I don't like it. I don't like it. And that's all there is to it. Okay, on to the next game, Nancy Drew The Phantom of Venice. I'm gonna come straight out and say it. I think this cover is fucking ugly. His horrible little face, it's so unappealing and unattractive. And I know it's supposed to be, but still, I don't like it. You know what they should have put on the cover? Nancy Drew in her cat suit. I think that's what it needs. And I think because the face is so consuming and horrible, it's like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. It's like Phantom of the Opera vibes. But you don't really notice what's going on in the background, because I'm looking at it and I'm like, wow, I never knew there was a beautiful little Venice canal in sunset colors in the background. I never noticed this little cat burglar on a dreamy little rooftop before. And I think those are genuinely gorgeous background images. But this little ugly face just distracts from it. I think that's a crime. Also, again, I think I didn't even need to say that. All I needed to say was it should have been Nancy in her cat suit. So I don't like it. Wow, I didn't think I'd be putting that many in my bottom category. I feel mean. But I think all my favorites are yet to come. Trail of the Twister. This one, again, it's pretty obvious it's got a twister on the front, but I like this cover. It's exciting. It's got lots of colors, like the purple. What a delightful purple, mixed with, like, yellow and orange and pink at the bottom of the storm. There's like a house being torn to shreds. There's lightning. It's just exciting. There's a downed power line. What could be more dangerous and thrilling than that? There's little trees blowing in the wind. I do think it's a little like a lot of the detail is kind of small and hard to see. The Twister does kind of seem like it's in the distance. It's not quite front and center on the cover, so I don't think this is one of my absolute favorites. Also, possibly I'm biased because it's not one of my favorite games, but I think as a cover, it succeeds. It's got it all. Like, too bad you never see anything like that in the game. Hold on, I was just thinking, I'm like, maybe I should put this in Whoosh, because it's making the game look very exciting. But what do you do in the game? You catch mice. You sort some files. You upload documents onto a computer. You go grocery shopping. You vacuum some gophers. I guess that's pretty exciting. No, I've changed my mind. I do think it's a good cover, but I do think it misrepresents the game. But I can't fault them for that, because what are you supposed to do? Put on the cover like, oh, look at this incredibly exciting cover that has Nancy Drew sorting some files. I bet you can't wait to play this game. Next we have my darling, Treasure in the Royal Tower. Okay, I do think this is a good cover. I like Wickford Castle kind of looming, like it's kind of like a tilted angle, so you're almost kind of looking up at the castle. It makes it look quite threatening and creepy, almost haunted, and there's this strong kind of blue-purple color. There's some lit windows. There's the snow. I love this game. I love this cover, but I also don't think it's as dynamic as a lot of the later Nancy Drew games are. Like, a lot of the later Nancy Drew games have, like, a lot going on in a really exciting way, and this one is just like, it's a castle. It's a spooky-looking castle, but it is just a castle. Now that I'm looking closer, I might need my glasses. I think their medallion is on the cover, which is a cool detail I never noticed before in the snow. Who put it in the snow? Something as precious as that. But I wouldn't see that if I was like, let me just put myself into a scene. I am, say, at Walmart. I've never bought a Nancy Drew game in the flesh. I think people buy them at Walmart. And I'm, like, strolling down the aisles of Walmart. I'm, like, gonna buy myself a new game here at Walmart. And I go into the game section at Walmart. And I go up, and I'm looking at the shelves as I approach the game section in Walmart. And I see this cover, and I'm like, wow, a purple castle. I don't see the medallion from that distance. I'd have to get really fucking close to see the medallion. I'm barely seeing it when I'm looking at it on my computer screen. So I think that's a strike against it, sadly. Although, wouldn't it be amazing to just walk into Walmart and buy Treasure in the Royal Tower? The dream. Okay. I'm letting my bias affect me. I do think this is a pretty cover. I don't think it's as exciting as it could be. There's my TLDR. Ooh, am I being biased if I put it in practically perfect in every way? I do like the vibes, the spooky vibes. Yeah, you know what? I'm happy putting it there. I might be affected by personal bias, but I don't want to be too mean. Like, I feel like a lot of my opinions thus far have been slanted towards the kind of more negative feedback, and I want to get some more towards the top of my tier list so I don't look like a total bitch. Next we have Nancy Drew Warnings at Waverly Academy. So this one, unlike the original Secrets Can Kill, very much encompasses and shows off the school theme. And it also shows off that the black cat, you know, little cat scratches on the Waverly cover. But, you know, I've never really liked this cover. You look at it and you're like, is there what? Is there a giant Godzilla? Is there a giant cat? Why? I don't understand. Like, all you know is there's a school. Maybe there's a dinosaur. It could be a dinosaur. I don't think it tells you enough about the game, and I don't think there's enough going on. Like, you could have little creepy faces at the windows. You could have the door opening, like, just the door ajar that gives you, like, a hint of something going on in there, like gets you intrigued, like what's going on behind that door. There's like different versions of this cover that are online, so it's hard to find the official one. I think the official one has a cat, which gives it points in its favor. I still think that's not enough. You're like, ooh, cute, a cat, but you don't actually see a cat. I think this one, it might be a misrepresentation. I think it just might be meh. I'm sad to say because I fucking love Waverly, and I think the way the school looks is really beautiful. It's a really beautiful design of the school. It really encompasses the kind of like fall, like winter, like cozy atmosphere of the game in a way that how the school looks, but I don't know, I just don't like this cover. Maybe it's just like, I don't have any reasoning to back it up. I've just been like talking my mouth off, trying to validate my reasoning here, but I don't have any good reasoning. I just don't like it. I don't know. It's not aesthetically pleasing, okay? Okay, Secret of the Old Clock. I have some beef with the cover for Secret of the Old Clock. So I don't know if you've ever stopped to look closely at the cover of Secret of Old Clock, but the clock is terrible. It's all wrong. It's like, who signed off on this? Like, they don't know Roman numerals at all. The top is like a 13 instead of a 12. They've gotten the 4 written out as 4 lines instead of like IV, which is the proper way to spell it out, in Roman numerals. It makes me angry. Have you ever looked at a clock before? Like, did you not do the Roman numeral puzzle in Ghost Dogs of Moon Lake? Clearly not, which is even more upsetting. You know, I went through that puzzle. And the person designing the cover hasn't. You know, that puzzle is probably the worst puzzle in Ghost Dogs of Moon Lake. I suffered. It takes a lot of work, a lot of note-taking. You know, I didn't go through all of that for nothing. I didn't go through all of that for you to fucking put 2 incorrect Roman numerals on the cover of this goddamn clock. That makes me very angry. I don't have anything more to say about it. Just, it angers me. I'm passionately angry, and putting it in graphic design is my passion. Curse of Blackmore Manor. I do like the cover of this one. I think it's very intriguing, like with that statement woman with the cloak. But I do think, at the same time, it's very much a misrepresentation of the game. First of all, she's outside. How much time do you spend outside in Curse of Blackmore Manor? Less than a minute. How many times do you see a person in a red cloak? Less than a minute worth of time. And who is this? Like, there's no clue as to which character in the game that's supposed to be. Is it Nancy? It could be Nancy. It doesn't look like Jane. It looks too old to be Jane. Is it Ethel? But it doesn't look like Ethel. It's definitely not Mrs. Drake. Mrs. Drake is too old. Is it Nigel in drag? I don't think so. Who is it? And also there are bats. There are bats in the background. There are no bats in Curse of Blackmore Manor, which I think is a damn shame. I really love this cover. I gotta be honest. It's such a cool cover. It's very, like, gothic vibes. Like, very Wuthering Heights, this cover, which I think is a good thing in a way because obviously this game is set in England. Wuthering Heights is a classic British novel. I love it as a cover, but I don't think it's a good or accurate representation of the game. So you know exactly where I'm gonna put it. Whoosh! Next up, we have Danger by Design. This is a very eye-catching cover. First off, like the orange-red of the sky. That is an incredibly striking choice of color. Oh my god, I just remembered I can look at this cover in real life. This is the only one of the Nancy Drew games I own a physical copy of, because in the summer, I went to a small town, like a town so small that they had this store that was a combination thrift store and laundromat called the Shop and Wash. And I went in the Shop and Wash, and I was browsing around, and they had a section of video games, and I found Nancy Drew Danger by Design. And I was like, oh, cool, a Nancy Drew game in the wild, this is cool. And I looked at it, and it was $1. So I was like, I gotta buy it. So I bought it. Let me fetch it. It's one of the cardboard cases, and it's not in the best condition, to be fair. It's cardboard. It's taken some wear and tear. There's a bit of, like, kind of sticky residue from where there's, like, a price sticker on here. But for $1, Wow. Look at this. Wow! So cool! Oh, I can see why people collect the physical versions of these games. Anyway, here is it in real life. Let me study it. Maybe I should have taken the taglines into consideration, but I think for this video, I'm just going by the visual element, because that's what I've committed to so far. Obviously, you've got Minette, her mask, as kind of the central image of this cover, which works out because I feel like Minette is like the central character to Danger by Design. Like, that's who you're there to figure out what's her deal. What's Minette's deal? You've got the moulin in the top left. You've got the dress for the president's wife, which is interesting. I guess that ties into the theme of fashion. And then this beautiful Paris street scene, which is gorgeous. The Eiffel Tower in the background. I think this might be the first to go into Preserve It for the Aliens. Like, the mask gives an air of mystery. There isn't like much kind of a threat in this one, and usually I like my Nancy Drew covers to have the hint of a threat. You know, that threatening silhouette. But there's just something so captivating about this one. Like I say, the colors, the street scene, you're like, wow, I'm gonna get to be in that world. That beautiful representation of Paris. I'm going to be traveling there. I'm going to be unraveling a case in style. I don't know. This game isn't one of my absolute favorites, but I think we have to preserve this cover for the aliens. We can be like, aliens, look, this is Paris, the city of love. Love me, aliens. I love you. I've lost it. I've lost it. Give me some caffeine and I lose it. I go off the rails like Last Train to Blue Moon Canyon. Like I'm a train on the way to Blue Moon Canyon. And I go off the rails, which is coincidentally the next game that I'm going to rank the cover of. I'm hysterical. I swear. This is just tea. There's like no alcohol. I feel like I'm even more hysterical than I would be if I was drinking alcohol. Caffeine does things to me. All right, let's be serious. Let's get serious. Last Train to Blue Moon Canyon. I fucking love this cover. I think it's just gorgeous. The kind of faded blue tone. I keep mentioning the colors, but I feel like a striking color works really well in these like game covers, because it really draws your attention. Like if it was a very like dark kind of colors, I don't think it would be as eye-catching. On the majority, these covers are just some of the most eye-catching poppin'. What am I, like, I'm some kind of 90s, I don't know, cool person. You can tell I wasn't cool in the 90s because I was a baby. Anyway, they're very eye-catching with their bright colors. I think this one, the colors aren't so bright, but it really sets like a mood, a tone. It's like very mysterious, which obviously is perfect for a mystery game. And it's just, I don't know, beautiful image. A train. Of course there's a train. It's the Last Train to Blue Moon Canyon. I would be so confused if there wasn't a train. And you've got that amazing moon in the background, the mountain scenery, the smoke surrounding the train, the further layer of mystery. And then another cool element about this cover, which I don't think is done in any of the other covers, but it's kind of like a hidden object puzzle. There's a significant amount of the number 13 like hidden in the cover itself. So if you look closely, you'll see like there's one obviously on the front of the train, there's one in the trees in the background, there's like quite a few more, a lot that you probably can't even see directly on the cover, but I think that's another really interesting element that adds a layer of depth and makes it even more mysterious. And like you could just stare at this cover for hours because it's beautiful and because you're looking to see how many 13s you can find. Please preserve it for the aliens. Please do. NASA, this is my plea. Please. The aliens need to see it. Nancy Drew, Legend of the Crystal Skull. Again, they've gone with the kind of obvious route of being like, whoa, it's a crystal skull, so here's one on the cover. But fair enough, that is like I say, the central kind of idea, the central mystery is all about the elusive crystal skull. There's this cool image in the background of like a graveyard, but again, I think the crystal skull just draws so much attention that I've never really closely noticed the imagery in the background. There's like a little grave digger guy skulking around, but I feel like the skull is just, it's too big and it's just floating there. Where is the logic? Is it magic? Is it levitating? I'm being a bit nitpicky here because Danger by Design did the exact same thing and I was like, this is a masterpiece. But I don't know, this one, it's too distracting. I feel like the composition of Danger by Design, the way the mask is, it doesn't distract too much. It's the first thing your eyes see, but then you look closer and you see all the other elements of it. Like, it doesn't distract so much that that's the only thing you can see. Whereas for this cover, I feel like the only thing I really notice is the skull. And it's like, okay, yeah, we get it. It's about a skull. It's the same situation as Secret of the Scarlet Hand. And I think the graveyard in the back is really cool and spooky, but it's sad that you don't really get to see that. Like, this is the first time I've really noticed it. The first time I realized there's anyone, like any little figure on the cover even. So I think that's a damn shame. It might go in meh, I think, because yeah, it's a crystal skull. It's not whoosh. The crystal skull, the reflections of light on it, that's really beautiful. It's really well done. I mean, no wonder it's so captivating that it pulls you right in, so you're just hypnotized by the crystal skull. But still, I think I would change a few things. Nancy Drew, Message in a Haunted Mansion. Now this is what I call a cover. Oh my god, that mansion. It's breathtaking. It's so powerful. It's so large and in charge. It's kind of like the house in Psycho. It gives those vibes. It's just the epitome of a spooky mansion. And I like, again, the kind of similar to the cover of Treasure in the Royal Tower where you're kind of looking up at it and there's this figure in the window. There's fucking lightning coming from the sky. It's magnificent and we must preserve it. I feel like this is kind of like, I'm being hypocritical here because it's got, like, it's very similar to Treasure in the Royal Tower in that it's like a one tone, there's not a ton going on, again, there's little lighted windows, but I feel like this one, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the lightning that just makes it so much more intriguing, but also just like the knowledge that it is a haunted mansion. Ah, dear. Next is the Shattered Medallion. This is the game cover for people who like Sunny June. I don't dislike Sunny June, but I don't like their design of Sunny June. I don't like the way he looks in the cover, and I don't like how he looks in the game. I don't know, I don't mind his hair. Like, I like his funky hair, but I don't know. He just looks like a guy that I would be like, oh, that's an annoying dweeb. He's been on Tumblr too much. He was definitely on Tumblr back in 2016. You know what I mean? The exciting thing is George dangling from a bridge. There's a submarine. Those are exciting. But then at the bottom, you've just got the contestants, and you're like, who are these people? Why do I even care about them? And you know what? You don't. You don't. So this is in my bottom tier, I think. Yeah, and how are you supposed to know it's Sunny June? It is very exciting. First game with Sunny June in it. I can see why they choose to have him on the cover. But if you're out of the loop, you're like, is that Nancy Drew? Maybe this is just a problem of having the game series called Nancy Drew, that whoever you put on the cover, people are going to think is Nancy Drew. If they're not familiar with the game, they're going to be like, oh, I guess that's Nancy Drew. She's there on the cover. This is a good example of like a cover having a lot going on. Like I say, I don't know if it works as well in this one. Maybe it's just because the things going on the cover other than the bridge and the submarine are not that intriguing. It's like, oh, it's a bunch of people. Okay, I get it. There's suspects in this mystery game. Gotcha. Alibi in Ashes. I actually think this is a really good cover, mainly because in the top left you've got Nancy Drew holding up her little like police suspect sign, and you already know it's gonna be a spicy game. You've got River Heights Town Hall burning down, and you, unlike Sunny June, you know it's River Heights Town Hall because it says, although like they couldn't exactly like put Sunny June on the cover and then have him have a little name tag that says, hello, my name is Sunny June. That would be a bit much, to be fair. You've got, you know, Bess, George, and Ned. Those are people that I know I care about, other than Ned. You know, they're recognizable characters in this game. But yeah, I think the highlight is River Heights Town Hall burning down, burning to the ground, Nancy getting arrested. Like, that's spicy. That makes me want to play the game. Even if I hadn't played the game before, I'd be like, oh my god, I'm playing a criminal, a convicted criminal in this game. This is so exciting for just pre-existing fans. It's even more exciting because you're like, oh my god, Nancy Drew gets arrested? What for? Breaking and entering, perhaps? She has done quite a few crimes. This is the game when Nancy's crimes finally catch up to her. And that's exciting. I don't think it has kind of the latent beauty of Danger by Design, Blue Moon Canyon, and Haunted Mansion. So I don't think it's my absolute top tier, but I think this is the most exciting cover we've seen yet. Danger on Deception Island. Now this is a cool cover. It's pretty simple. It's got the mist, the spooky mist. It's got the whale, which I think is perfect because it's not one of those covers that, or the title isn't like, oh, Nancy Drew and the cool whale. Like, it's not as obvious. Like, the title tells you you're on an island. The cover is like, this game is about whales. That gives you more context, I think. You've got the kayaker in the background. Accurate representation of what happens in the game. You've also got the lighthouse. Again, accurate representation. And I like how the typography of the cover lines up so that the top of the lighthouse is like captured within the sea. I think that's really cool. Like, whoever designed this cover, they knew what they were doing. It could be a little more exciting, but I don't think it needs to. Like, you know there's gonna be danger, and you know there's gonna be whales, and you know there's gonna be kayaking, and you know there's gonna be a lighthouse, and you know what? The game delivers on every count. Do I put it in my top tier? I think because I'm not feeling as strongly on it, I do really like it as a cover, but I don't think it's, you know, the ultimate Nancy Drew cover. I think I'm gonna leave some room for other covers to be shuttled away to the aliens, you know? I gotta be picky about these covers. Ghost Dogs of Moon Lake. What an iconic cover, am I right? Look at those ghost dogs. Those sure are ghost dogs. And then you've got the lake in the background. Ghost dogs are so menacing and creepy on this cover. Yeah. Yeah, that's about it. That sums it up. I don't know, it does have a sort of like mystical quality to it, which is really fascinating. And it does pull you in and make you want to try the game. But again, I don't think my feelings are strong enough on it to put it in the top tier. I think I'm satisfied with where it is now. Practically perfect in every way. Practically. You know, not perfect, but practically perfect. All right, let's go. Ghost of Thornton Hall. Now this is an evocative cover. Oh my god. Again, I have that issue where it's like, you might just think that is Nancy Drew if you're not familiar with the series. But who cares? She's so creepy. This tells you this is going to be a creepy story. The costuming, and then you see her in the background again as a ghost. Ghost in a cemetery. What more could you want? Then you've got like the house in the background, the manor house. You've got the gates, like the trees with the Spanish moss hanging off. It just perfectly captures the vibe of the game. And you end up going to both those locations. You're not going to be disappointed like Kapu Cave when you see a volcano on the cover and you're like, wow, can't wait for Nancy to plunge into a volcano, and it doesn't happen. This one, you get what's on the cover, and it's wonderful. And also, I'm just noticing, hold on. Computer enhance. There's some kind of reflection in her eyes that I never noticed before. I thought she had kind of golden eyes, but I think it's the reflection of the fire, which is a really amazing detail. Now that I'm looking at it close up, I can see that there's like the yellow light kind of being reflected on her face from the fire. That is incredible detail, and I mean, it adds something after you've played the game and you see that and you're like, wow, oh my god, I didn't realize, but it was there all along. Her face is so intriguing. Like, there's the kind of the makeup running down as well, which is like tragic. You can see she's looking at something which is really terrifying her, which obviously is the fire. Yeah, preserve that one for the aliens. Labyrinth of Lies. Okay, this is a cool cover. This is a really cool cover, but I feel like I never look at it that closely. I don't know why. Like, for the other ones, I've had my excuse ready. I'm like, oh, there's just a skull on the cover. Why would I look closely when I'm distracted by the skull? But I don't know. This one is cool. It very much represents that Hades and Persephone myth, but I'm not sure if it as accurately represents the game. Like, obviously you do go to like locations reminiscent, especially of that, like the hell section of the cover, the kind of above world portion of the cover. It's a lot more verdant than it is in the games, although I guess that does look like the museum you go to. I don't know, it makes it look like a much cooler and more beautiful game than it actually is. I don't like Labyrinth of Lies. It doesn't tell me really that it's a mystery game. It really does make it look that it's kind of like a myth retelling game, that you're going to be set, you know, in ancient Greece. You're going to be living out, perhaps, the tale of Hades and Persephone. It doesn't tell me that you're, you know, working at a museum, you know, as a curator at a museum. Not even a curator, like a little lowly intern or what have you at a museum. And it doesn't tell you that that's just a stage set, you know. Although, like, I guess that's part of the thing about stage sets, is that you're supposed to, you know, suspend your disbelief and belief that they're real. But I'm thinking too much about this now. Obviously, it does have something to do with the game, because the game is about them putting on this play of Hades and Persephone. But I also think it doesn't quite accurately represent the game. I think it leaves a little something to be desired. It is, without doubt, a beautiful cover, but is it an accurate cover? It's too good for Labyrinth of Lies. Ransom of the Seven Ships. I think this is a pretty cool cover. You've got the shipwreck, the bright blue. Again, love a prominent color on a Nancy Drew cover. There's a shark. There's some treasure. It's not the most interesting cover in the world, I would say. You look at it and you're like, yeah, that's a shipwreck. And then you kind of move on. It doesn't compel you to look closely as much as some of the other covers do. It's hard because it's like, it is a pretty cool cover with the shipwreck, and it is a pretty accurate cover because you do go explore a shipwreck, although you don't see any sharks. And again, I have to think, am I being moved by my own personal bias against this game that is urging me to put it in meh? Like, because it is a nice cover. I don't know. I'm gonna follow my heart. Even if my heart is being led by my bias, I'm putting it in meh. Sea of Darkness. Okay. I feel like this is a cover that I don't often think about, if that makes sense. When I think of iconic Nancy Drew game covers, I don't think of Sea of Darkness, which feels a little cruel, because it is quite a pretty cover. Again, it just lacks a little something for me. I like the Northern Lights. The ship rushing towards you is very cool, very dynamic. It's got the lighthouse, got that in common with Danger on Deception Island, but maybe it just feels like too familiar with the ship. You know, Ransom of the Seven Ships already did that. Lighthouse, Danger on Deception Island already did that. It's not giving me too much that's new. Maybe that's why I'm not sure about it, but I think I'm going to put it in meh. Also, I think maybe part of the problem is there's not enough going on for me. Again, I tend towards covers where there's a lot happening, where you can see lots of pieces of the game, what you're to expect, what's to come that really pull you in. And this one is just like, it's a ship. And then what? Shadow at the Water's Edge. This is a cool and spooky cover. You've got this ghost rising from the water, covered in these water weeds. There's like kind of the Japanese architecture in the background that tells you where this game is set just from the way the architecture looks. I know it's spooky, it's intriguing, it's in your face. Like, you look at the ghost and you're like, that's a ghost. Oh my god, that's a ghost! She's coming to get me! The blue and green color scheme with the hints of red from the architecture in the background. And you've got the red in her design as well, and her lips and her nails. I don't know, I just think it's a really good cover. Do I think it's as good as our other Ghost Lady cover, Ghost of Thornton Hall? Do I think that? Let me interrogate my feelings for a moment. Do I think it deserves to be presented to the aliens as a representation of humanity? You know what? I think it does. Stay tuned for Danger. Again, one with a very consistent color scheme, this bright pink that has washed everything in this image in it. But you've got my favorite thing, the threatening silhouette and the long shadow coming from it. And you can tell the setting is a movie or TV set. You can see that from the cover. But I feel like the pink lacks dimension. It kind of makes everything too flat. Like, other than the silhouette, you're not really looking at the details. It kind of makes everything blend in, which doesn't make it the most interesting cover in the world. I do like the pink. Like, that's a very unique color choice. I think it's very bold. But I feel like it's just not enough. It's just not enough. You got strong competition. Stay tuned for Danger. I'm sorry about it. I'm sorry. You're just gonna be meh, and you're gonna accept it. The Captive Curse. Okay, I feel like this is, again, another one. I'm repeating myself lots at this point. This cover has a focal point which distracts from everything else going on. It's got the hand with the amulet, which is pretty cool. And it's a creepy looking hand, like kind of reaching, quite a gothic, like horror looking hand. You've got the German town at the bottom. You've got the castle. You've got the woman running in the forest. But again, I feel like I've never noticed those details before because I just so strongly associate this cover with just that hand. Before I played Captive Curse, and I only played it very recently, I had no idea what this game was about. I was like, it's about a hand. There's a hand. And that's it. Like, I didn't know it was about a monster. This cover should embrace the monster. You've got a monster in your game? Use that. They don't have a monster on that cover at all. You think a hand is more interesting than a monster? There's hands in every single Nancy Drew game. My everyday life is just staring at my hand. You know, it could be a lot more interesting. I feel like it's got some missed potential. I think that this one, it might go in whoosh. Because although, like, the things surrounding the hand are pertinent to the game, I think it missed out big by not having the flipping monster on the cover. Like, the central image, like I say, tells you nothing. It really misses the point and what is compelling about the game. Okay, we've got the Deadly Device. And I'm biased against this one, both because I don't like this game, and also because it's got a man on the cover. Why would I want to play a game about a man? Although I do like that he's in the midst of being electrocuted. That's fun and funky, right? I love that this game, like, went there. Like, they're like, what are we gonna do for this cover, for this game? And they're like, man in the midst of a horrifying, painful electrocution. That's the direction they went. I like that. But he's not a particularly... Like, I know he's a character in the game, but I'm like, he just looks like a dad. Why do I care about this man? Yeah, electrocute him. Whatever, he's not my dad. Why do I care whether he gets electrocuted? But maybe that's just, like, a thing with the character design, not necessarily the cover. I'm being a bit too harsh on whoever designed the cover. I'm like, wow, you couldn't have found a more good-looking man to go on your cover. I do think it's a good representation of the game. It encapsulates the most exciting part of the game, which I think is what all these covers should aspire to do. But I don't think it's practically perfect because I don't like men and I don't like science. I'm sorry, we'll have to go meh, because I don't think it misses the point. I don't quite think it's meh. I should have added another category. Games that almost succeed. I would have definitely thought of a better title, definitely, if I had more time to think about it. The final scene. This one has red. This is the red cover. This is a pretty cool cover. It's got obviously the theater. It's got like a little light shining in the distance. I think that might be supposed to be a flashlight, but I think it's not clear enough. And I think this cover, you have to really like look close at it to appreciate it, because if you're first looking, you're like, oh, it's a theater, and that's all you get. But if you look closer, you're like, oh, the theater's kind of falling apart. Oh, I wonder if that's a person with a flashlight, because you can kind of see the curtain. It has been like moved aside a little. I don't think there's enough going on. There's not enough to intrigue me and pull me in, which is a shame, because I think it is a good cover. It is quite beautiful, but it's not threatening enough, darling. It's not threatening enough. I'm sorry, the final scene. I don't think it's quite meh, because I think it's quite gorgeous art. The Haunted Carousel. This one, it's like, it's a carousel. Here we are. It's the Haunted Carousel. I feel like maybe in the later eras of Nancy Drew is when they started putting more on their covers. So maybe I'm like a little biased against these first ones, because I'm like, I want it all! I want the most maximalist cover you can think of. I will not settle for anything less. There is a lot on this cover, but everything is just a carousel. I mean, there are some vague suggestions of other fairground rides in the back, which, may I say, you don't get to ride. There's like a Ferris wheel. There's like some of those like swings where you go around in a circle. I don't think there even are any of those in the park. Not that I remember. So that's disappointing, but I feel like that you really have to look close to see those details. So I feel like that's not as much a thing where you'd be expecting to go on a Ferris wheel. You would be expecting to go on a carousel, and you do get to go on a carousel. I think the horse could look more ghostly, more haunted. I like the sparkles, but it's kind of like a more magical feeling. It doesn't really make it seem creepy or threatening in the way it could. But to be fair, the carousel isn't creepy or threatening in the game. It's just like, horses! Sometimes the carousel turns on. Woo! It's spooky! It could be a ghost turning it on. Is it meh or is it practically perfect? I'm gonna say meh. Again, I feel like I need an extra category, because like a lot of these where I'm like, I don't actually think you're meh. You're just not quite as good as some of the others. That's all. The Haunting of Castle Malloy. Now this tier list I found is interesting because it doesn't actually show the actual cover. To be fair, this is just like a Nancy Drew game tier list that I found, but like that's, the actual cover has this banshee front and center, which is pretty awesome. And then it's got the castle in the background. And I think this one is a good one because it's got, you know, it's got the central focus of this creepy banshee, tattered clothing. She really looks like she's glowing. Like, props to the artist. She's got that glow to her, but you still see the castle in the background, this kind of crumbling castle, like the moon partially behind the clouds. It gives it a really kind of spooky, very atmospheric, very mysterious, very mystical atmosphere, which I think works very well. And this banshee is in the game. The castle is in the game. On the other side of her, it's not as apparent. It doesn't draw your eye as much, but there's like a crow on a branch and there's some of the like standing stones. They aren't as important. I feel like they could have done more with that space, but I think this is a pretty awesome cover. I feel like it's, again, too awesome for Haunting of Castle Malloy for what it puts out there. I mean, it does have those elements in the game, but does it utilize them well? No. No, it does not. But that's a fucking cool cover. Yeah. Whack a banshee on the cover and you've got me. The Secret of Shadow Ranch. Talk about an iconic cover. Again, the colors in this are everything. It's like a sunset with the pinks and the purples and the oranges, and you've got your ghost horse. Oh my god, it's a ghost horse. It is a horse that is a ghost. How cool. What is cooler than a horse ghost on a ranch? Oh my god. It's just so beautiful. It's so beautiful that I need the aliens to see it. It's not a want, it's a need. I need them to see it and be like, wow, Earth is a magical, beautiful place. Look at this ghost horse. We want to come to Earth and meet this ghost horse. That's what I think they'd say if they saw this cover. It's so good. The Silent Spy. Now, repeat after me. Newcomers would think that was Nancy Drew. And I think even regular people in the series might think that is Nancy, but I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be Nancy's mom. She does look like a spy, I'll give her that. I do like the zip lining. Like, that's pretty great. You've got this kind of golden representation of Scotland in the back, but I feel like it's a bit... Like, the gold is a bit too much, because you don't really see much details there. You get the faint kind of outline of a building, but it's not super... Like, it's not like, you know, the Paris skyline that you see in Danger by Design that really pulls you in. And it's got, like, kind of the Highlands, the Scottish Highlands at the bottom, just being like, oh, here's some moors. Here's a building. That's nowhere near as exciting as a zip line. Like, oh my god! Put more zipline adjacent things in the back. Put, like, the secret spy lair or something. Oh, what to do with you? I think it's just a meh from me. White Wolf of Icicle Creek. This is an interesting one because there are actually 2 covers for White Wolf of Icicle Creek, depending on whether it's the PC version or the version they made for the Wii. Both of them have the wolf. It's like, great, what a beautiful wolf. But the PC one... There's like a little man in the background, and there's a little cabin in the background. And you're like, okay, are we just going on a nice vacation for once? Like, that doesn't look particularly threatening or exciting. Like, that's just a nice ski vacation. But the one for the Wii... Oh my god, there's an explosion. There's a snowmobile cresting a jump. Now that's what I call exciting. Why didn't they put the explosion into the regular cover? Why didn't they do that? I think I'm gonna have to, like, base my ranking on the PC cover just because that's the cover for all the others that I've ranked. If it was the Wii cover, it would be higher up on my list. Because, oh my god, a wolf, a snowmobile, and an explosion. What more could you want out of a game? But the PC cover, yeah, it's like, oh, I went on a nice vacation to Canada. I stayed at a lodge. I took a walk through the snow. And I saw a wolf. That was pretty exciting. But that's it. You know, there's not much spice there. There's not much mystery. There's no threat. There's no threat. I need these covers to be threatening me at all times. So it's a meh from me, unfortunately. I think the wolf is beautiful. The wolf is beautiful. The wolf is iconic. I love you, Isis, but what is going on in the background? Nothing! Tomb of the Lost Queen. This is a pretty cool cover, like, with the woman who is, like, half a decomposed mummy and half a beautiful, sexy lady with perfect makeup. It is a little bit of a misrepresentation, I'll say. Like, obviously that is in the game. It's about this mummy and about the history behind the woman who was eventually the decomposing mummy, but I don't know. Like, it makes it look so much more freaky and mysterious and exciting than it really is. Like, Tomb of the Lost Queen is just like a bit of a letdown of a game for me. It's not awful. It's not terrible. It just Like, I feel like it has so much potential and it never lives up to it. And I think this cover really represents that. Missed potential is not the same thing as misunderstanding the brief. So I think it'll have to be meh. Even though, again, like, I don't think it is meh. I don't think any of these are meh. This is a totally bad category. Who created this category? We're on to the last one, Midnight in Salem. I feel like, along with almost everything about this game, this cover is a bit controversial in the Nancy Drew fandom. A lot of people don't like it, from what I gather, but I really like it. And I'm kind of curious if they do make more games, if they're gonna make it in this kind of style with like the silhouette of Nancy against a background, and then with like her body filled with like this other image, like, what's that term? Superimposed? Something like that. But it's this really mysterious and haunted, beautiful like face with these kind of like muted, ghostly colors against this moody blue background, and then that burst of yellowy orange of the fire in the background. Like, it really sets this like this mood and this tone that you're looking forward to going in. And I feel like Midnight in Salem somewhat keeps up with that mood, that tone. It's got an atmosphere about it, even if you don't miss the mark in some other areas. It's got the graveyard. What could be spookier than a graveyard? And even more, there's a crow sitting on one of the tombstones. What's scarier than a crow in a graveyard? No? No other ideas? Yeah, that's what I thought. It's the spookiest thing. It just is. No, I really like this cover. I really like the style of it. And I think it would be cool if they started this new style of covers with the Nancy silhouette. And it helps clear up the confusion on all the other covers, because I don't think the woman inside Nancy is Nancy. I think that the silhouette is Nancy. Like, I feel like it's very obvious that that is Nancy, and the woman inside is separate. She's a spooky ghost lady with a cool collar. I know, I really like it. I feel like some people would disagree with me. Am I gonna go so far as to say we should preserve it for the aliens? I'm actually really tempted. I don't want people to get mad at me. Saying I put Midnight in Salem in my top tier and bullying me for that. I'm a real Nancy Drew fan, I swear. I just could appreciate good aesthetics. I'm gonna do it. I'm brave. I don't crack under peer pressure. It is in my top tier. I'm sending it to the aliens. I'll just put a sticky note on it that says, the game isn't as good, but this cover, though. And the aliens will understand, I'm sure. I hear that aliens are very understanding. So that's my list. As you can see, I'm not ranking the Nancy Drew dossier covers. That's unnecessary. When I think of Nancy Drew covers, I don't think of the Nancy Drew dossier series. But here we go. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on these covers, what your absolute favorite Nancy Drew covers are, the ones that you would send to the aliens in a probe or what have you. I don't know anything about space. That's why NASA has to do these things. The ball is in your court, NASA. I just passed it over to you. I don't know why I'm using a basketball metaphor when I don't know anything about basketball either. I know even less about basketball than I know about space. I'm 5'1". I don't play basketball. And what are your least favorite Nancy Drew game covers? What are the ones that you would hide when they're preparing their covers to send to NASA, when they're filling the little space satellite with Nancy Drew covers? Which ones would you just casually hide when people aren't looking to ensure that the aliens don't see them?